Hello, and welcome to Bake to the Future, the podcast where we explore the trends, challenges, and innovations shaping the baking industry. In today's episode, we're diving into one of the fastest growing categories in the baking sector, pizza and flatbread. Backed by fresh data and insights from the ABA Bakery Playbook, we'll unpack what's driving consumer demand, how bakers are innovating, and where the biggest opportunities lie, from better-for-you crusts to bold global flavors. Whether you're a baker, supplier, or just a fan of what's hot in the oven, this episode has something for you. Let's get started. Joining me today to slice up the data is Anne-Marie Roerink, president and founder of 210 Analytics. Anne-Marie, can you introduce yourself to the audience and share a little about your background?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. Always a good time talking about bakery and certainly pizza. That's its whole other level. So yes, Anne-Marie with 210 Analytics, been working with ABA for many years and really bringing some numbers to the industry in terms of how big are certain categories, how are they moving, what is growing, what can we do in order to support the mega trends that are out in the marketplace. So what we came to realize very quickly is that people shop for, say, donuts very differently than they do for bakery or baked goods or pizza or what have you. And so we realized that we really needed to approach these types of topics separately so that we could dig an inch wide and a mile deep. And that's really where the Playbook series came from. And today we'll be talking about pizza.
Great. Well, let's kick off with what can you tell us about the size and growth trajectory of pizza sales over the past few years?
You know, the beauty of the Playbook series is that we very much realize that baked goods are purchased in both retail and food service restaurant space. And pizza is probably the biggest example of that. So if we think about the big, well-known pizza chains, we're looking at $42 billion in that limited service restaurant space. Then full service restaurants add another 22 billion to the pie. And those are all growing. As we know, early on in the pandemic, we saw tremendous upsurge in all things delivery. But at the same time, what people choose for delivery and takeout has to be a food type that holds up very well. And pizza is a shining example of that. At the same time, we're also seeing that pizza is gearing up in retail. Now, that's a smaller space, but altogether, whether we look at frozen pizza, deli prepared, or even the items that people find in the center store to make their own pizza, it is all growing very quickly. And that's exciting news, certainly for anybody involved in this category.
Great. Well, let's dig into the pizza versus flatbread debate. Do consumers believe they are the same?
That definitely is a bit of a debate. So, internally, we always have vivid debates about what belongs in what, because, of course, we approach things like a baker. At the end of the day, there's going to be few consumers that even think of pizza as a baked good, right? So, certainly, we had a very good debate on pizza versus flatbread internally. And that meant we had to ask consumers about it as well. So our answers were, well, it really is the same thing. It's close to the same thing, or it is not at all the same thing. So 30% of people landed on no, flatbread and pizza are not at all the same thing. 51% said it is close to the same thing. So, of course, we had to follow up. Well, if there is a difference, then what is it? And by and large, people focused on the crust, the texture of the crust being different, but certainly also that flatbreads are used for meals other than pizza. And they really focused on the shape and the toppings, which was interesting as well. And anecdotally, a lot of the consumers talked about flatbread maybe being a little bit fancier or a different usage occasion as well. So definitely a little bit of a difference in the eye of the consumer.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's jump into fun fact number one then. Let's have a little debate since you mentioned all the crusts. How do people eat it? Are they eating it first, last, or not at all?
Ooh, yeah, that is a big debate as well. I certainly see all of it in my own family. I'm all about starting with the crust, but apparently I am the oddball out. About 21% of Americans say that they start with the crust, whereas most people start from the middle of the pizza out toward eating the crust last at 76%. And then there's just a very small percentage, 4%, that skip the crust altogether. So that settles a pretty big debate, I would say, in the US, and we finally have some numbers.
Mhm. And then in the Playbook research, you mentioned your family eats pizza pretty often. How often and when are people eating pizza? Is it mostly for dinner, or what did you find?
I think one of the reasons why we're seeing so much growth in the pizza category is because of the who behind it. Interestingly, in another survey, we asked, hey, what's your all time favorite meal? And while you see things like sushi and steak and those types of meals popping up, what you see across all demographics, whether it is high income, low income, young, old, pizza is on everybody's list. So, household penetration wise, we're seeing everybody engaged with pizza. So then we start looking at, well, frequency. How often are people consuming pizza? And that's why we're seeing younger generations be so much more engaged with the pizza category. If we look at Gen Z, so those are folks up to age about 26, 27, more than 40% say that they eat pizza most days, every couple of days, or at least once a week. If you look at boomers, it's more of an occasional type of meal, with only 28% eating them once a week or more often. So that, of course, begs the question, well, is Gen Z eating pizza every night for dinner? Or how in the world can they have such a high frequency of use? And they actually, together with millennials, provide a really interesting usage case, and as a result, a blueprint for growth. Because what we're seeing is that there's a lot more engagement with pizza as breakfast or a morning snack, an afternoon snack, an evening snack. And that, of course, comes into play too with that whole idea of it doesn't necessarily need to be a cheese or pepperoni pizza. And as such, the variety of flavors that I bring to the table and the variety of sizes that I bring to the table, they really open it up for it being a lunchbox snack, a lunch, dinner snack, what have you. And that's really where the difference in consumption levels come from.
Mhm. Well, as people are eating so much pizza, from a bakery perspective, does pizza meal occasions offer other opportunities for the bakery sector?
Oh, absolutely. I think we look at pizza in the frozen food aisle, for instance. It's often that, oh, I'm out of time or I'm really not in the mood to cook. That's where frozen pizza comes in. But we also look at, for instance, the limited service pizza for birthday parties and that type of thing. But certainly, if you look at other occasions and how meals and holidays are evolving, whether it's during the week, during the weekend, or the special occasions, more and more people are just relying on what we call hybrid meals, where it's a little bit of somebody else and then maybe cook a few items from scratch. So if we think about how much pressure there is on people's time right now, I think pizza occasions have a definite room for growth, whether that is entertaining impromptu guests or any sort of party, and certainly movie night, those kinds of things. And that's where we're really seeing the pizza industry be extremely savvy. For instance, at retail, we know Friday night is the biggest occasion for carried out deli prepared pizza. And
Mhm.
that's where you're often seeing meal deals come together of maybe a bag of chips or some chicken wings to go with that, to really try to round out that occasion for the consumer, and as such build the basket for the retailer as well.
Great. As you mentioned, we often think of pizza for that last minute dinner, birthday parties, entertainment during Super Bowl. What did the playbook find about consumption occasions and how's that changing?
Consumption occasions are eternally changing. And that, of course, has everything to do with the fact that we are changing as a nation, and our who is changing for many, many years. For 20 years, our industry, whether you sit on the food service side or on the retail side, has really been driven by boomers. And boomers have a wide variety of meals that certainly includes anything from, steak and potatoes to also pizza. So the consumption occasions are very much driven by how our population is driven as well. So I'll give Thanksgiving as an example, right? If you ask the different generations what they had for Thanksgiving last year, you'll see a lot of turkey among boomers, but you'll see anything from turkey to grilling out occasions among younger consumers. So we got a little silly and we asked folks, hey, if you could dream and if you could get away with it, would you serve pizza for Thanksgiving? Well, it turns out that 59% of Americans, so 6 in 10 Americans, have had secret dreams to serve pizza for Thanksgiving, forego all the work and really enjoy the day off and enjoy the time with friends and family. So, just a silly example to say that there's a lot of permissibility and a lot of wide open space out there to think of different meal occasions throughout the day, different consumption occasions from date night, movie night, but perhaps also Thanksgiving is on the table. So that really is an exciting time to continue to drive growth through creativity that way.
Absolutely. And speaking of creativity, pizza's seen a lot of innovation, as you mentioned, from unique toppings to alternative crust types. What did the playbook find in that regard?
Yeah, for a while there, it seems like anything that was flat or maybe round was dubbed a pizza. So we had a really big TikTok trend in which you took a slice of watermelon and put berries and other things on top, and that was called a pizza. So certainly that trend has gone a little bit extreme, but at the same time, we're seeing a lot of other baked goods stepping up as a potential alternative to a traditional bread crust. So certainly what we're seeing in during the height of keto, the height of low carb, we saw a lot of crusts in terms of cauliflower, veggie, those kinds of things. But today, especially among those younger generations, we're seeing bagels and pita bread and tortillas. And again, anything flat really that is found in the bakery aisle also serve as an alternative crust. But I'd also point out puff pastries is a big one. And think about the difference in the eating experience, the texture experience that you could bring to the table, and then of course the endless array of toppings as well. And that is the beauty of the pizza category. As humans, we don't tend to like to eat the same thing again and again. We like variety, and so certainly variety on pizza can come in terms of the toppings or the sauce. But looking at what are some of the changes that we can make within the bakery category to have a different crust type, different texture, flavor, that's a really good idea too.
Mhm. Well, let's end out this conversation with, the marketplace right now is putting a lot of pressure on people's wallets, and we've documented a range of reactions relative to restaurants and retail. Where does pizza fit into this?
I'd say pizza is in a very good space. You're absolutely right. If you look at just in retail, just because they're a little bit easier to measure, right? But in retail, prices have increased 38% versus 2019 if you look across all food and beverages. So, yes, that's like 85,000 something products. And certainly, if you follow the government reporting on food inflation at home, away from home, that's about what we're looking at, 30 to 40%, regardless of the category, compared to pre pandemic levels. Very few consumers make as much in terms of that same increase. And that means a lot of consumers are just in a nonstop budget balancing act to try and figure out when time is more important, or when nutrition is more important, or when mood wins out. But it's often a balancing act between price and promotion on the one hand, and all those other factors that go into meal decisions on the other hand. So when you think about pizza, it definitely is a meal that most people enjoy. And that's a big part of it too. Consumers are switching to, I want to make sure that all the food that I purchase is consumed and I throw out as little as possible. So we do see a shift to the big powerhouse categories where pizza is not only a great value, but it's also something that is enjoyed. And we talked earlier about it can be that during the week last minute scramble meal, but it certainly is part of all the most important occasions in life as well, be that birthdays, movie nights, and what have you. So I'm very optimistic for the continued success of the pizza category.
Wonderful. Well, Anne-Marie, thank you for sharing your insights. This has been a great discussion. If you're a member of the American Bakers Association, we encourage you to learn more by downloading our pizza and flatbread playbook at www.americanbakers.org. Let us know what you thought of this show by emailing hello@americanbakers.org. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.